All right, I'd like to call to order the November 12th, 2024 Forest Grove School District Board of Directors meeting at 5:30 p.m. We'll start with roll call. Val? Here. Kate? Here. Brad?
I'm here.
I am here. Paula? Here. And Mark is absent tonight. If we can all rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, approval of tonight's agenda. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. And we're up to the student representative report. Hello. Welcome.
Hi everyone. So a couple of things we've been doing at the high school. This past Thursday we hosted our Veterans Day Assembly. ASB members assisted with the setup parade. We had about 40 to 50 veterans attend. So overall we had a pretty good show up. And it went pretty smoothly other than some microphone hiccups. It cut out a little, but we got through it. A couple other things coming up are the SpongeBob musical. The opening night is this Friday the 15th. And some upcoming fundraisers that some of our ASB committees are working on. A Rose fundraiser, which is set for November 15th as well. And the fundraiser will offer roses to students and staff for various locations so that they can purchase them. And we also have a mod pizza partner night, which is scheduled for December 3rd, so next month. But still, that way you can all put it on your calendars. And it's just so families can come in and eat at mod pizza, and a portion of the proceeds is going to support school. And that's all I have.
All right. Okay, let's see. Board reports. Val?
A couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to the mariachi benefit concert. It was very well done. What I especially liked about this time seeing them, I've seen them a bunch of times and I always love it, is that I got to see the Neil Armstrong group, which is back in action, and so that was awesome. And then I didn't know that they had a JV mariachi for the high school. And so I got to hear them perform as well, which I had never heard those two groups. So it was a really great time. They had a great turnout, and it was a great event.
I think we're going to talk about the OSBA conferences this weekend and legislative advocacy, but that's later in our agenda, so I'm going to move that information until later. I did want to highlight that I went to the high school this morning to join the School Counseling Advisory Council for first semester, and Tommy Cox and Megan Van Zanten ran that, but that is just a master class in really what kind of a PLC, professional learning community, looks like. And I've been to a couple of them before, but they break down the data, they analyze what's happening so far, and then they ask a group of its parents and teachers there, and Allison was there, Tosa, and I was there, and then just a mix of different people, ideas and what we're missing in the data and what they're wondering about the data. And they allow for plenty of time for feedback, and it was just really, once again, it's very inspiring to see the work that's being done. I'm going to I asked Megan if it would be okay, I'm going to share this copy of a calendar of all of the things that the counselors do. I know we've seen this before, laid out, itemized, but it's just, again, it's such a reminder of all of the types of work they do. And they talked about once a week, they audit their day and really, they take data on how much time during the day they're spending on different tasks so that they can analyze what that's looking like with student contact time. But one of their goals right now was just to increase, they noticed the biggest data point they were noticing was the transition from freshman to sophomore year, especially with students of color, and feeling like there was more of a challenge in their sophomore year to stay on track. And so they're really sort of diving deep into a focus group of those students, but they made sure to remind us while they're doing all this analysis, which is really incredible when you think about how much time in your regular day you actually sit back and analyze how you're doing your work. It's difficult for us to find time for that. They make that time for that. It's part of the work they're doing for the RAM certification, and it's a real deep, honest, transparent dive into where we are. And so I was just very impressed and inspired, and we're lucky to have a team operating at extremely high level of analysis. So I'll stop there, and I think I'm going to pass it over to Dr. West.
Great, thank you. I have a few things to report. I also was at the Veterans Day event, and it was super, barring a couple of technical issues. A couple of things I want to highlight. Then we had NAMS students join us for part of that. They were part of the orchestra and the choir, so it was fantastic to see some young people there from our middle school. I also thought it was incredibly tasteful and moving. It wasn't a very long event, but the speaker comments were heartfelt, and the veterans that were there who were served breakfast, participated in the event, and then stayed for lunch. It was clear how deep their commitment is to country and to community, and I'm really impressed with the longevity of this event at the high school and how meaningful it is for those who participated. So that was tremendous to be a part of. A couple other things I want to highlight. On the 19th and the 21st of November, we will have community engagement sessions that we are hosting. This is part of our integrated planning process to refresh our application in the upcoming school year. But it's also really important for us to visit with our community and hear from them how things are going. So those sessions are coming up. And then a reminder that the budget committee application deadline is the 26th of November. So if you know anyone who is interested in applying, please remind them of that upcoming deadline. That's really close to Thanksgiving, so it could be pretty easy for folks to forget that deadline if they're interested. A couple of other updates. Last month, we agreed on a superintendent review process that included articles of evidence. Specific to Standard 1, Visionary Leadership, Standard 4, Culturally Responsive Instructional Leadership, and Standard 6, Improvement in Effective Organizational Management. Today in your board packet, I have a report that touches on Standard 1 and Standard 4. Specifically, last week was our first quarterly data monitoring visit with our school leaders. There are a couple of school leaders we had to reschedule for because of circumstances at their schools, but we were able to meet with all of the others. And it was incredible learning. It was great learning for us as district leaders to hear from our school leaders where they were at with the processes that they were putting in place in their school and the efforts to improve instruction, and also to hear from them what they were proud of within their data and what they felt like they needed to continue to work on. So the report highlights our learnings. It also includes a few things that we identified as gaps in our system. An example is that we had a couple of leaders say that our intervention materials in our dual language classrooms are really thin. So that is something that we need to look at as a district to make sure we're supporting our school leaders. We also looked at discipline data in a way that was new for us as a district, and that surfaced what are potential disparities and disproportionality in the way we are disciplining students from different racial and ethnic groups. So that is something that we will continue to monitor throughout the school year. We have some questions about that. It's so early in the year, it's hard to draw any sort of conclusions, but it did raise some questions. So we'll monitor that closely as the year goes on. That discipline report, it was pointed out as well that we did not include a disaggregation for students with IEPs and for students who are learning English. So we will include that next time so we can look at those data as well. But overall, our school leaders did a fantastic job of guiding us through their data, hanging in there through our questions. I'm sure there was some discomfort because we asked a lot of questions about what was taking place in their schools and what they were doing to improve outcomes for kids. But they really hung in there and did a fantastic job of helping us see into those spaces that our school visits often don't give us an opportunity to see. The next thing I want to highlight, let me pause there. Do you have any questions about that before I go on? Okay. That report is there in your packet in case you want to spend a little more time with it. This monthly enrollment report we've talked about looking at on a regular basis. I want to bring this back to you for your review, point out a couple of highlights here. We still are staying within our goal of about 23 students per class overall. You can see the breakdown there by grade band. There are some hot spots that we are monitoring. We have individual classrooms where there are 28 and 29 students in those classrooms at the elementary level, and we're paying close attention to that. And as we've discussed before, this is an average, so this does mean that we have PE classes that have 40 kids in them or more potentially. But overall, we are staying within the goal that we set. We, as you can see there, are also below our enrollment projection. So currently, we are below our enrollment projection by 91 students. The last time we looked at this, it was 100, so we did gain a few students. This will continue to fluctuate as the year goes on, and we'll continue to bring it to you, but we're monitoring it very closely. The second screen that you see there breaks this down even further, so you can see by school where the variances lie, positive or negative, and then also has the student to staff ratio breaks down by individual positions within our organization. What questions do you have about this month's report? Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Any unscheduled public appearance tonight? Okay. And next we're gonna celebrate our Spotlight Awards tonight. Before we do that, we're gonna just do a little pre-spotlight, and I want to thank Michelle, who is here providing translation services for us this evening, and just recognize her work. And also Bethany for posting. We've been posting our agendas also in Spanish, and so we've really appreciated the switch to that. So thank you for being here. Spotlight, each month we will be taking time to recognize individuals or groups who have exhibited excellence in the district or in our community. Today we have several examples of excellence in action. First, please join me in welcoming school counselor Heather Fix and teacher Tammy Johnson of Forest Grove High School as they present the first Spotlight Award to their student, Eamon Boyle.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah? Oh, there, that's better. Okay. So I've had the pleasure of I'm Tammy Johnson. I've had the pleasure of being Eamon's teacher since his freshman year when he took physics from me. And immediately, Eamon was a standout in class, asking deeper level questions than some of his peers, and really thinking beyond just what's going to be on the test, but like, what does this mean and how do I apply it in my life? And then at the end of the year, Eamon asked me if he could please just skip taking biology and just jump into AP biology. And I was a little reluctant because our students skip biology, life sciences really at 6th grade. I had to skip all of biology and just jump into what's supposed to be like a college level biology class. I thought, okay, well, if anybody can do it, Eamon can do it. And so Eamon became part of the AP biology class and really became a leader in that class almost immediately. One of the things I love about Eamon is he's very multifaceted, and so in addition to being highly intellectually capable, Eamon is a delicious baker and would bring apple pie and other treats to class when we had snack. He's a great artist. He was appointed by the rest of the class to design our AP biology t-shirts that we wear on the day of the AP test, so we have our varsity academic gear on. And Eamon asked, again, really deep questions, really thoughtful questions about how does this apply, but what if we could do this? And what if we took this technology and did that? And one of the jokes was, please never, if any of you are ever in charge of funding, don't fund Eamon because he has some frightening sometimes but really creative. And I just really appreciated teaching you, and I appreciated teaching you. You're right, a real bright spot in my career, and I appreciate you. So we're recognizing Eamon for his achievement as a national merit semi-finalist, and I know that he's applied to continue to be a finalist. I'm really for that. Yeah.
And I'll just add, I joined the school in January, so worked with them for just a little bit, and I appreciated his deep questions, Eamon wants to stay in class at Pacific right now, and then emailed me over the summer with how to make it work. I told him it was really on him to figure it out with his teachers. And he took that upon himself, problem solved with me a little bit, but I was really proud of how he communicated that with his teachers, and a really mature way of approaching a problem. Also, when we recognized him for being a National Merit semifinalist, he quickly turned to the Tony Lord and I, the assistant principal, were able to celebrate him in class, and he turned to his peers and was like, okay, this is what you have to do so that we can get more people. Because we should, so I really respect and admire that snowball effect of how it's like we have the students here, and he's working really hard to inspire and build the awareness of what is available for our students. And I'm excited to see what you accomplish next.
May I say one quick thing, just so everyone understands? First of all, congratulations. To qualify for this, you have to score within the top 1% in the nation. So this is really a remarkable accomplishment. Congratulations. We're super excited to be able to recognize it tonight.
Thank you.
But could I ask you a question since you're up here?
Yeah.
I would like you to talk a little bit about where do you think you developed your love of learning and something you're excited about for your future.
Well, so before high school, I went to Swallowtail Waldorf School. I think a lot of my kind of curiosity came from that. They were all about a little bit non-standard. They were all about questioning a lot of things, having curiosity about the world. And aside from that, I feel like it's just kind of how I am, it's how I've developed. Yeah.
Yeah, and something you're excited about for the future.
Excited to go to college and have all these new opportunities, meet all these new people, and figure out what I want to do in life. So, yeah.
Great. Right. We're gonna have.
If you all want to come up here, we're going to take a photo with the board.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would have worn my purple truck because I didn't know. I have purple trucks.
Okay, all right.
Can you get us all?
Yep, we got you all. 1, 2, 3, and 7. Very good.
All right, next please join me in welcoming Forest Grove School District's Equity Migrant Coordinator Osvaldo Garcia Contreras as he presents our Spotlight Award to Elvira Josabat and Ruby Robles, Migrant Family Engagement Specialists. Welcome, Oz.
Hello, CC, can you hear me? Okay, great. So good evening, everybody. And first, I would like to take advantage of this opportunity to thank our school board and our superintendent for providing us with the space to recognize outstanding individuals. And I'm pleased to know that the students are also being recognized. Tonight, we are going to also recognize a couple of staff members from our community and our migrant education program. The Forest Grove School District Migrant Education Program has been in place supporting our migratory students and their families for over 2 decades. After the COVID-19 pandemic, not only our enrollment numbers were down, but also parent engagement suffered a significant decline. District-wide, parent meetings were attended by an average of 5 to 8 parents in total. Those were representing approximately 500 migrant families, which certainly, in my opinion, was a monumental lack of inclusion. It was imperative for us at the time to redesign our approach, mission, and vision. At the forefront of that initiative, we hired a new family engagement specialist. This person was able to effectively lead and support a team of migrant liaisons per building to achieve unprecedented levels of success in just a couple of years. This person has supported our Juntos program, which is an initiative that brings parents and students together at Neil Armstrong and Forest Grove High School. She has supported extremely our pre-K migrant program. She has supported our migrant summer school for a couple of consecutive years. She has supported our educational program for parents by bringing workshops that address topics such as mental health, balanced nutrition, physical education, immigration, and legal rights, among others. She has supported families during holiday seasons by organizing toy drives and food drives. She has diligently led our TPAC, which is our Parent Advisory Council. This person has empowered all the families to believe they have a voice. Consequently, parent engagement has increased significantly. Our attendance has grown from having 5 families to having an average of 200 families per meeting. It is without any further ado that I ask all of you to please recognize Ruby Robles for her outstanding performance engaging migrant families in the educational experience of all children. Thank you. Muchas gracias por todo lo que has hecho. Ha sido un placer trabajar contigo. Thank you very much for everything you have done. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you, Ruby. I will say that I have been able to attend a couple of the TPACs, and the vibe in there and the feeling that the families have. I think at the last one there were over 50 or 60 kids that were also taken care of while education was given to families, and you had people of all ages, but the team that was working together to make that happen, and it just was a seamless. Both events were seamless, but filled with really relevant information that just was a great model, I think, for how we could engage more families in our district. And so your work with that is really appreciated.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
As a direct result of Ruby's effort has come the empowerment of her constituency. Many parents have found their voices and have developed strong desires to become actively involved in making a difference in their communities, as well as leading projects that advance equity and social justice everywhere. There is one parent in particular that took that leadership to another level. Due to her activism, she was selected as the speaker and presenter to represent not only our district, but also our state at the National Migrant Conference last year. And most recently, she was appointed as the Parent Advisory Committee President at the state level. Once again, without any further ado, I would like you to also join me in recognizing this migrant outstanding parent and leader who has exhibited extraordinary dedication, commitment, and passion. Please welcome Elvira Josafat to receive.
We are going to take a picture, but I'd like to ask, we talked also at the TPAC, I believe, and you are really a leader for other parents in moving up to those leadership positions. What advice would you give to other parents who want to make that move? What propelled you to that next level?
por ser una escuela a los demás padres que también quieren lograr ya ambos.
Gracias en la educación de sus hijos.
All parents should get involved in the education of their parents. That's my advice.
Thank you so much for your service, and we are going to take a picture.
Okay, we've got 3 going on at the same time. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Good? Okay.
All right, and we have one more. We're going to welcome Kim Shearer, Director of Student Services, as she presents our Spotlight Award to Laura Riva. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Riva, so I wasn't saying it correctly. Riva, speech language pathologist. And Toby.
I'm bringing Toby up here with me. Toby's the coordinator and he oversees the speech language pathologist. So we're here tonight because Laura Riva, who is a speech language pathologist in our district, who this is your 17th year, she recently won the Oregon Speech and Hearing Association's Outstanding Clinician Award, and she was the only only recipient in Oregon of this. Her dedication as a speech language pathologist has provided exceptional speech and language services to students across age groups and disabilities, addressing complex communication needs. Laura also mentors our new SLPs, supporting their growth and strengthening our program. As a department chair, she advocates for students and staff, ensuring comprehensive support for each child. Her expertise in safe feeding has been invaluable to the district's team, benefiting students with feeding and swallowing challenges. Laura's commitment, leadership, and expertise have greatly enriched our district services. Congratulations, Laura.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I worked with Laura before I retired at Gales Creek.
She was my mentor there. That's why he hired me and she mentored me.
Did I?
Yes.
Laura is just outstanding. During the summer, she will go to California, to Maryland, all over the country, and she will work with young children. And I'm just amazed at her dedication with working with babies from birth to, what, 5? Or was it 5? Yeah. And then, you know, she works up at the hospital. So her background and experience is not only just in the school, but she's in the hospitals. She's been across the country and finds a place to stay. Also, she became a dear friend and joined our investment club that we had for 30 years, but she wasn't at the beginning of it. And we disbanded in 2020 before the pandemic. But we've been really great friends, but she has done an outstanding job with working with our kids on the spectrum and articulation, and just a dear friend and a wonderful colleague for our district. Thank you so much, Laura.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Okay, well, that was super fun. So, and also thank you to Kim and Oz and for creating, you know, the words that have to be said. That's also work, and Heather And Tammy, yes, okay. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Now, just like back in City Council, once this part is done, we just want to give everybody permission, of course, to stay and enjoy the next discussion about legislative advocacy. But this might also be a time, if you'd like to go home and spend with your families, that this would be a great time to consider that as an option. I mean, no pressure. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.
Congratulations.
She promised me dinner.
Is it bedtime?
Okay, so the consent agenda is made up of routine, non-controversial items to be voted on under one motion. Are there any items within the consent agenda a board member or the superintendent wishes to discuss separately? Seeing none,
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and presentations in integrated guidance plan.
Yes, thank you. As I mentioned previously, we are engaged in a process with the state known as integrated guidance. The integrated guidance, as a reminder, requires us to grade several different funding sources towards common purposes. That's important, and we have to report to the state on our progress. We are bringing you part of that report tonight as an annual requirement. But more importantly, the integrated guidance asks us to think critically and strategically about the way we use resources to further education for our young people. And the questions that we are asked ask us to engage in a process of reflection to ensure that we are in fact doing that. So it is a requirement, but it's also an important process for us. So here I have a few slides that I'll run through to share with you the highest level reflection questions that we are asked by the state, and then we will have our annual report available as required on our website. So the integrated plan primarily relies on monies from the Student Success Act. You can see there that the main source of funding from the Student Success Act is the Student Investment Account, commonly known as SIA. SIA was designed to meet students' mental health behavioral needs, improve academic achievement, and reduce academic disparities for specific student groups, which you see outlined right there. The requirements are that we share an annual report with the school board and the community. We're doing that tonight. It will be submitted to the Department of Education by the end of the month, and as I said, it will be available on our district website for anyone who would like to review it. So these are the questions that we are asked to reflect on. How do we see progress contributing to the outcomes and strategies in our plan? Again, the integrated plan requires us to identify for ourselves goals that we are progressing towards, but we also have co-created longitudinal performance growth targets that we're working on with the support of the Department of Education. So these are a few of the things that we've done to pursue that. The articulation between middle schools and high schools has been a focus of the district. There is now a grade 8.5 transition program that occurs during the summer. Students that at the middle level are identified for benefiting from some additional support are invited to attend. They participate during the summer, and they are exposed to the overall high school experience, but more importantly, they are also exposed to the increase in academic rigor that they will experience when they transition to high school. Counselors are a huge part of that program as they assist students in helping to understand that credits matter. You have to start strong, and how to track their transcript and the credits that they'll earn through their high school matriculation. We see the outcomes of programs like that in a metric like our 9th grade on track. So for the last reporting period, the district's 9th grade on track percent was 85.9%. That was 7.5 percentage points higher than the target that was co-created with the Department of Education. So that's a great outcome for us as a district. One thing to note in the state of Oregon, it is pretty consistent that your 9th grade on track metric is about your baseline for graduation 4 years later. So we can say with reasonable confidence that with an 85.9% on track to graduate by 9th grade, that we should see similar outcomes by the time they reach 12th grade and they're ready to move on to college or career. We're also asked where we experience barriers or challenges. And so our reflection there is that we continue to bump up against persistent student behavior and mental health needs. Some of those we can meet through a problem-solving process and through the allocation of resources. And some of those have been really challenging to figure out. We don't give up on those, but it's taking us longer to work through. We are at the far edge of Washington County, and because we are not close to the Portland metro area, it means that the resources that are available to us are sparser. Within the Portland metro area, there are quite a few resources that families and young people can access for mental health care, for day treatment, residential treatment. We just don't have as many options this far out. But as I said, we don't give up on kids. We continue to work with them to find whatever the solution is for them to remain in our schools or find a program that works best for them. And we have included all of this effort within our Student Success Act and integrated planning process. In addition, we've undertaken a literacy adoption to support our progress towards targets. We continue to hear, and I'll speak personally as a new superintendent in this district. I walk into classrooms where the new Amplified curriculum is being used, and by and large, staff love it. They love having a curriculum they can reference. They feel like it is rigorous and engaging for young people. They're still learning some of the routines associated with that curriculum. But people that I have talked to about this across the district are enjoying having this as a resource within their classroom spaces and feel like it's beneficial for kids. We're seeing that in our early leading indicators as well, and the reading metrics that we are measuring, and we looked at that when we had our last work session. We point out there that literacy is the gateway skill. You've heard me say before that I think teaching a child to read is an act of equity. If a child can read, they have access to everything that they will be exposed to through their academic career. So this is a really important foundational skill. And the district is taking important steps to ensure that our literacy rates continue to improve. We've also been focusing on attendance. Every building has an attendance team. Attendance teams identify interventions for students that are chronically absent. We are in the early stages of this work in some of our environments, but in those schools that have a strong foundation in this area, they're seeing improvements. I'll give you an example. At Neil Armstrong Middle School, they were able to hire an attendance outreach coordinator, an individual who specifically focuses on going to students' homes, talking to parents, figuring out, do you need an alarm clock? All of those questions that for us, we wouldn't necessarily think of to ask, but for a student who doesn't have anybody to wake them up in the morning and doesn't have an alarm clock, something as simple as that is really important in helping them get to school. So being able to put in place those interventions and to have the individuals to liaise directly with students and families to find out why aren't you coming and what can we do to support you attending, it's having tremendous impacts in those areas where we've been able to focus on it. We've also made investments in multiple TOSA positions. These teachers on special assignments, they provide direct support to teachers in our classroom spaces, coaching support, resource support. They train and coach on high-level instructional practices, but in addition to that, they provide teachers feedback on lesson plans, tools, structures that they might use to improve their instruction. We also have a science coach right now leading an adoption process. Science is one of those areas where our curricula is lagging, so it'll be good for us to get a curricula that we can implement across all of our grade levels. And particularly important for students that need ELD support or have an IEP, we're looking for a curriculum that will have the differentiation supports that our teachers need to scaffold for students that need that extra support. So that's a real high-level overview of the information that we are asked to submit to the Department of Education. Again, the full report will be available on our website, but at this time, what questions may I answer for you? Okay, Chair, I turn it back to you then.
All right, staff and services with Kim. Welcome again.
It's different this time.
A little different, okay.
So we have a staff member who is going on leave for just a temporary period of time. So we're asking that, we're requesting board action to spend up to $67,000 from December through May of the 24-25 school year on the hiring availability, contract negotiations for qualified contracted service agency for licensed school psychologists.
Any questions from the board on this? Do I have a motion to approve spending up to $67,000 from December through May of the 24-25 school year on hiring availability and contract negotiations with a qualified contracted service agency for a licensed school psychologist?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Kim. Thanks for being here. Gales Creek gym floor replacement.
Only one tonight. We are preparing for the 25 summer bond projects, and part of that is the abatement of the Gales Creek gym floor. So the contract in front of you is to replace the current Gales Creek gym floor with a more plastic floor, so more rubberized floor, similar to what we're putting in Neil Armstrong. The quote is for $70,258, and this is using a cooperative purchasing agreement.
I have a question. Is asbestos underneath those tiles? It is. So like some of the other rooms at Gale Street, with the library.
Yeah. So this would remove that and abate it, but we wouldn't start on it until after school is out in June.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a problem until I went and started looking at the floor. I figured that, oh, now, well, then, you know, there's chipping all over in that, but I didn't realize there was asbestos on it.
A little bit. Not all of Gales Creek has it. The gym is the biggest area, and the priority that is built into that.
Are the classrooms?
No, those are abated.
Yeah, I know the library was, they took that floor out and talking and put it.
Yeah, that's, to my understanding, last place that was asbestos.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Any other questions?
No.
Do I have a motion to approve the Gales Creek gym replacement with Branson floors utilizing the Sourcewell cooperating agreement for $70,258?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay. Legislative priorities.
Okay, I will provide a brief overview. This is a first read. We did briefly discuss this previously. We are bringing to the board recommendations to identify a small number of high leverage legislative priorities for the long session that is in front of us. The reasons for this are multiple. The most salient reason is that we have an opportunity right now with the governor's recommendations for the technical adjustments in the CSL to see a shift in school funding that we haven't seen for many years. So as a state, like many districts, we want to get behind this. We want to make sure our legislators know how important this is for us. But in addition to that, there's some movement around an effort to increase the special education cap. This also is new. We don't often see this kind of movement across the state where we have consensus among many districts, but also many legislators to make a shift in the way schools are funded in this area. So that's another one of our advocacy areas. And then last is to remind our legislators that their efforts, while well-intended, have costs to school districts. I'll go through these other pages here in just a moment and show you some of the talking points related to that. But our three big priority areas are stable and adequate funding for K-12 education, health and well-being related to students who are receiving special education supports and who have mental health and social emotional needs. And then let's keep our funding simple and sustainable without a bunch of new rules, especially new rules that don't have funding associated with them. To support these priorities, the second page of this document includes some talking points. Those talking points include information specific to Forest Grove related to these priorities. An example is that the governor's technical adjustments as they currently sit would give us about an additional $5 million per biennium. For us, for Forest Grove, that $5 million won't hit the classroom. That $5 million will go to fund the PERS increase that is in front of us, and it will go to fund the cost of paid leave Oregon, which is another unfunded mandate. So I think it's important as we advocate for increased funding that we help people understand they're going to see a big number, and the number will be larger than has ever been funded before. We hear that every biennium. But to contextualize that and help our constituents understand and our community understand that that additional funding is not going to support kids. It's not an investment in kids. It will pay for just a small number of increases in cost. So these talking points help to contextualize that. And then the last 2 pages are some graphs that visually depict much of what is contained within the first 2 pages. So let me pause there, Chair. I know you'd like to jump in and add to the conversation.
Well, I feel like, I think we had talked about this before, maybe having a work session where actually Susan McLean and Janine maybe are part of, I don't know where we are with that, but where we actually have a work session really going through some of these pieces and what our plan is as a board for who we're going to be talking to, when that's going to happen. Generally, I don't know, it's too much in my brain to explain in an organized way right now what happened with OSBA, but the highlight of OSBA was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lots of conversation all 3 days with people across the state and board members and superintendents about how this funding conversation can happen where the same funding conversation is happening around transportation. So the governor's got those 2 areas of focus, transportation, which is a system that really needs attention and money, and education, which also needs the same thing. So the challenge was our region, I should probably just have you explain what happened at the region because this is how it's going to go, but would you mind?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Friday at the OSBA conference, Oregon School Board Association conference, built into the schedule was an opportunity for superintendents and board members from within Washington County to meet. And it wasn't unique to Washington County. Every region had an opportunity to meet. During our conversation, what we focused on was agreement around a couple of high leverage legislative priorities, and then next steps related to that agreement. So what we agreed to is that within Washington County, all districts will advocate for the CSL increase that the governor has proposed. Let's see those technical adjustments play out. And all districts will advocate for special education funding increases. So there will be some unique advocacy related to local context, and districts need to be able to do that, but across our whole region, we have agreement on those 2. So that was tremendous. In terms of next steps, Washington County superintendents, actually all superintendents in the region, so that's Tillamook, Clatsop, Washington County, and I can't remember the 4th for our region. We are meeting on Thursday and Friday of this week, and what we will be talking about is how collectively we can utilize the genius of our financial chiefs to put together one document that illustrates for the entire region the impact of this advocacy. So that as we're out and about talking to folks, if we're, for example, talking with Senator Solman, she doesn't need to juggle in her head then, well, Forest Grove has this impact with the CSL increase, we'll be able to give her a document, no matter who she's talking to in the area, that says, well, this is the impact of Forest Grove, and here's the impact of Beaverton, and here's the impact of Banks. So that we will have our own legislative priorities, but we also have a common financial document that we can all reference. So that's the next step that emerged from that conversation. What would you like to add?
Yeah, I thought that was much better than what you would have gotten from me, but thank you for doing that. We did run this by, in early stages, we ran this by Nicole Schott, who's over in Condon, and she's the head of the Rural Caucus for the state. So in the Rural Caucus, I just said, these are the two that our region is advocating for. Is the Rural Caucus feeling like they could also support those two? And she did say, yes, those are in line with what we're talking about. They've got some different needs, especially around facilities and staffing and pieces like that. The trick is, what's happening is people are feeling like, yes, those are absolutely the two we want. And then districts kind of on the side are still going to their legislators and say, but we want something for CTE, and we need something for these facilities. So what we've heard this year from the governor's office is that those things are not going to be happening this year. So those extras that people are trying to get on top of the CSL and the SPED aren't there. They're going to be in transportation. So some school boards and districts are having a hard time letting go of a few of the things that they really are hoping can get funded. And our focus is, but if we really are laser focused with our message and legislators are understanding what that means, that might help them work together to make sure that those things happen. So, but there's still lots of conversations. The other regions all met and they just talked about things they wanted. So after the meeting, we took this to the Legislative Policy Committee for the state, and multiple districts and superintendents came over to say, hey, can we kind of get in on this or borrow this or use this? And so this framework of, you've got the themes, but, and thank you once again to Eileen and I know Dr. West for pulling numbers we could have Condon's numbers in here. You know, I mean, we could essentially, you're educating the legislators who are really, in some cases, working at a level where some aren't even understanding how ESDs are funded in the governor's budget. I was at a table with school board members who had not really heard about the financial literacy requirement. There were some pieces that I learned these last 3 days where it feels like we really need to, I think we are leading on how you get this message across to our legislators and what that looks like. So more to come on that.
Yeah, just a reminder, this is a first read.
Right.
We will bring this back in December for a second read and an action requesting adoption. So you have a few weeks in front of you to look this over, ask questions, and provide feedback.
And I would just like to add that the three of us met with Janine Solomon and Susan McLean, and ran this by them also, and asked some ideas about how we could advocate, and they had some good suggestions. So they're aware also, and they're very willing to help us and guide us. So I thought was really positive.
And the legislative support for OSBA is really helping us, asking us to flip the frame, because legislators will still say, I have a bill, like legislators, I've got my bill, right, about this. So we'll work with your thing, but I still have my bill. And we've had to start having conversations to say, actually, this isn't a year for you to bring that bill. Like, we would not like you to bring the bill because we need the focus here. And I think there's kind of been a, whoa, you know, like what? But that piece of just school boards being educated enough to be able to say, this is why that bill isn't gonna work right now. We need these pieces. There was a conversation, there's conversation about this special ed cap, depending on different boards have different ideas of what number that could be at. There was still there was still conversation about having it just be completely lifted. I have been saying, you know, that's not something that we should be doing, and I think most people realize we can't do that.
Just to do away with the cap?
Right. Because of high cost disability. There's other pieces to that, right? But that's my point. Most people understand, like, this is the number that would probably be reasonable, maybe 14 or 15 right now because of the reasons we do. But we have legislators that are just like, let's just lift it. They don't have a complete understanding of how that all is working in the system. So this has been very powerful. I thank Eileen and Dr. West. They really worked quickly to get something together. And we've been sharing it out now across the state, and little small districts who don't have a team that's doing the graphics or a CFO that can pull numbers have been really appreciative of the idea.
I got a question for you, Eileen. Under the paid leave, we had 68 claims resulting in 2,335 days away from work. Is that correct? Okay.
And that's
How did we
in
compare
addition to regular sick time and other leave.
Right, that's just, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Pretty significant impact to the day.
Yeah.
And if you scale that, for example, we've seen Hillsborough's document, their days for paid leave Oregon alone are 10,400. So they're larger districts, so scale it, but that's a significant amount of lost time in front of students. And it's expensive.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it
Information? Oh, we already did enrollment, data monitoring.
I don't think so.
That's information in your packet.
All right. If that's it, then we're going to close the meeting at 6:26 p.m.